Hello, I'm Scott, the breathing guy. I will train you to locate, generate, activate core key energy in physical activity. This video is titled Driver Swing Mechanics with Key Energy. And this one is dealing with lesson 1, which is swing mechanics, stage 1, which is address and taking the club back. And when you first start off making your address and deciding what type of swing do you want to create, in a sense of where do you want to draw your force, either from the hips or from the shoulders. So you could make your swing the dominant force using your hips, or you can have what's called the shoulder, which is built from the shoulders down for your swing, or if you want hips, it's built from the ground up, so the shoulders flow better. In this stage, there's 3 areas that for every swing this program addresses. They are hips, turn, shoulders rotate, and hand snap. Those are the 3 things you have to decide to do or develop in the golf swing, any golf swing. So what I'm doing here is talking about what's the first thing you do when you come up for address. You have to decide, do you want a shoulder swing or do you want a hip swing? And then since this is all about the driver, we're going to do the hips. We have to create our swings from the ground up to maximize the fluidity and the force for you to strike the ball. So finding how to turn your hips, creating a whole sensation. Now, the way this program works, the way I want to view it, the way I view it to develop what I'm suggesting to create the most dynamic swing to the optimum swing, is a sensation development. So you got 3 areas. You learn the idea, you learn then you develop from the idea the physical form development, but then you need to refine the sensation that you create. So any movement can have many sensations, and you have to develop from a sensation point of view to maximize repeatability in your driver swing and effectiveness. So what we're doing here is the first thing you have to decide is you want to build your swing from the up, that's focus on the hips, or from the shoulders, that's your shoulders down. And believe me, it varies. Now, what determines which way you're going to go? It's your balance between the ball of the foot and the heel. And people intuitively make a big mistake there because they think they're doing it from the hips, but in reality they're creating it from the shoulders by the way they stand, the way the pressure between the ball or the heel is, and it's how they bend forward. So deciding if you want to build a swing using the hips and shoulders is the first thing, and it's based on foot pressure between the heel and the ball of the foot. And for driver, we're only going to deal with the ball of the foot and how you create and what you do and what you don't do, because it's either going to be one way or the other. That's the key element. Understand, it's either going to be from build up from the feet up or from the shoulders down. Now the first thing I want to show you, how do you start off with, is watch them turn to the side a little bit, and what you want to do is tuck the hips under just slightly. And you want to core breathe by pushing your belly button out on an inhale. As your butt comes out, your muscle here at the lower glute comes up. And then you squeeze, tighten here, tighten here. This doesn't have to be engaged. This is soft up here. The diaphragm area is soft because the core is divided between upper and lower. Belly button down is the lower core, that works the legs, and from above the belly button up, the diaphragm up works the upper body, your hands, arms, whatever, shoulders. So the first thing you have to do is understanding what you do and what you don't do. When you want to make, this is a classic mistake. You think you're going to do hips, but you're going to use shoulders when you do one thing. When you lean forward at address, like this, and your glutes, your tailbone goes back, and then you bend your knees. When you do that, if the tailbone is in back of the heels is the dominant force. You're starting your movement off the heels. Your hips have limited range. You can test this. Do not take my word. So when you go down like this, When you move back, your glutes go back, you bend your knees. Guess what happens? You can feel. And try to move your knees. Try to move your foot and feel the resistance. In fact, you really can't, because what happens is, for most good golfers, they start like this, some of the pros, but when they get up here, they actually shift their weight forward the half inch where it's on the ball to halfway down the swing, during the swing, or right before they swing. But they actually take the club back on their heels. And that creates a whole nother dynamic muscle coil effect, which in reality limits your coil abilities to unwind, evolve, and even develop. So really understanding how you move your hips back when you lean forward. Now, this is foundation. If you want to, do the tip your hips, push your stomachs out forward like this, and then here at the hip flexors, bend forward, lean, and when you do this, you'll feel pressure toes into the floor, feel the ball from the middle of the arch forward. So it's a 60-40 balance, one, and like this. Now when you do this, see how your knees can move, how your foot can turn really fast. Less internal muscle resistance to movement. This is basically the foundation, deciding if you don't want to use your hips, you want to use your shoulders more, like this. Oh, you can swing your upper body real easy, and the hips are very stable. It takes a lot of force to start. But if you want to make the hip build from the ground up, you have to have your balance where the hips are virtually over the foot, not behind, like this. Because as soon as it gets back there, the harder it is to turn your hips, the harder it is to move your feet. It stabilizes the hips very strongly. So your upper body starts first, gets about halfway, and then you start moving the hips. My approach for the driver is build from the feet up. You got to have the balance in your feet to initiate all the force from the ground up. In doing so, once you get the hips stabilized to make the coil, to build the coil in the backswing, you got to have it always on how to take the club back. And I'll give you variations on that one too. But that's the basic foundation, deciding, and in doing so, setting the feet up, either pressure on the ball, 60 on the ball and 40 on the heel, or 60 on the heel and 40 on the ball. But again, it's your choice. In some cases, it's better to swing from the shoulders. Create the choice, understanding the choice. Because sometimes in a short swing, you don't want to use the hips. It's much, the sensations to develop with the heel or the ball are two different things. And you can play it and use it in your golf swing. But for the driver, you definitely want to make the hips as the primary force, your feet the primary, because you want to get the greatest momentum through the body by turning the hips. Remember, hips turn, shoulders rotate, hands snap. Those are the three things they do in your swing. How do you create the best turning ratio? Speed, form, in the hips is what we're focusing on, but it all begins with the feet and the balance to move. Understanding that first, developing it physically, and then creating the sensations to use it, to repeat it, to appreciate it, because it'll have an effect in your upper body's ability, the shoulders to rotate. That's the thing. The whole idea of this, better you make the hips, from the hips down, from the belly button down, firmer, the softer you can make your upper body to rotate the shoulders around. The greater the range, the faster. So this is the foundation. The hips are the foundation down to the ground. How it's formed has a tremendous effect on the upper body's ability for the shoulders to rotate, and in doing the rotation to develop the force to snap the club head through. So look, there, this is Driver Swing Mechanics with Key Energy, Lesson 1, Swing Mechanics, Stage 1. This is the very first thing you have to develop is your foot sensation and how you want your hips to move behind the heel or even with the heel So your pressure is a 60-40 balance between the ball and the heel for to swing the driver is the goal. So have a good day and look for the other videos to build from there. Okay.